Today, we're looking at a piece so rare it lives here, inside of the Ripley's vault. What is it? It's inside of this little case, and it's perhaps one of the most historically significant pieces we have in our collection, and involves the Lincoln assassination. Stick around, because I can't wait to talk about this one with everybody. Check it out. Hey everybody, it's Curtis, the exhibits buyer for Ripley's Believe It or Not here again, and today I'd like to talk to you about the Lincoln assassination. So I'm going to show you, kind of tease a few of these really awesome Lincoln exhibits that we have, such as Lincoln assassination hair, and what is inside of this box is perhaps one of the most controversial and historically significant artifacts in our collection that ties right back to Lincoln and his assassination. More on this in a second. So Lincoln was assassinated April 14th, 1865 in Ford's Theater by John Wilkes Booth. John Wilkes Booth was not a stranger to the, acting. He was a professional actor. In fact, he wasn't a stranger to Ford's Theater. He had been there many times, performed, and kind of knew the layout, and this kind of helped him in his, I hate to say, easy assassination of Lincoln. These are a couple of things that relate back to John Wilkes Booth and whatnot. This tassel here, this is actually taken from Lincoln's casket after his assassination, which is really neat. But relating back to Booth while he was there to assassinate Lincoln, these pieces of wood were actually taken from the bench that he basically hitched his horse to while he went in and assassinated the president. In addition to things like that, we also have some rare fabric like this. This is a piece of the American flag that was draped over Lincoln's casket after his passing as well. So another neat kind of assassination relic relating back to that. And then kind of my personal favorite, besides the two big ones in front of you here, is this. This is a swatch of fabric from the presidential box at Ford's Theater, which is, of course, where Lincoln was assassinated. Over the years, the curtains had been replaced, repaired, and this is a nice swatch right from the booth where Lincoln was assassinated. Really neat. Now, let's go ahead and talk about these items here, because these are our big ones. This here is Abraham Lincoln assassination hair, and you may have seen this on the news recently. This was all over CNN. The buyer was originally anonymous, but it was us, and we wanted to make sure that we were able to talk about it on our own terms. I want to show you guys a close-up of this as well, because this hair, not only is it a lock of Abraham Lincoln's hair, but it was taken off of his temple the night he was assassinated, wrapped inside of this telegram, and the hair actually had blood or brain samples, tissue on it, and it stained that telegram right there with Lincoln's blood or brain matter. This was kept in the pocket of the physician that of a physician that connects back to Mary Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln's wife. It was passed down through the family for generations, and now it's one of the hallmark pieces in our collection. But this is what we're here to talk about. This here is quite possibly one of the most historically significant items in our collection. This here is the Derringer that had a 50% chance of killing Abraham Lincoln. This is awesome. Let me show you guys a little bit of close-up on this as well while I talk about it. So this gun was actually the backup pistol that would have been used just in case the actual pistol that killed President Lincoln basically misfired or malfunctioned. This would have been the gun that would have then killed Abraham Lincoln. So basically the story is after John Wilkes Booth got to Lincoln, he shot him in the back of the head with a about 44 caliber bullet. It was a little different back then, so you can't do rifle tracings or anything like that. And in fact, the bullet that is on display as being the one that killed Abraham Lincoln can't go through any real tests. It's too deformed, so you can't check for rifle markings or even take the actual caliber of the bullet. So best guesstimate is about a 44 caliber. This is a 36 caliber gun. So based off the weight of the bullets, the bullet that that actually killed Lincoln didn't come from this gun. But after Booth had shot Lincoln, he jumped from the president's booth down onto the stage, yelled a couple of things, escaped, and was captured 12 days later. This gun fell out of his pocket when he jumped from the president's booth down to the stage and was recovered the next day by a stagehand who kept it in his possession for years and years and years until it entered a private collection that then ended up in our collection. Unbelievable story behind this. To be completely honest, I can talk for 30 minutes about the provenance and the history and all the little markings and John Wilkes Booth name engraved down here at the bottom. We could go on and on. But when you really boil it down and you sit and think that this gun had a 50% chance of being the one that would have assassinated Abraham Lincoln that night, the story is unbelievable. All right, everybody, for you hardcore Lincoln fans who have stuck around, I'd like to tell you one more quick story and fun fact about this Derringer, and actually the Derringer that killed Lincoln that's on display. So, there is actually a conspiracy theory out there that the gun that's on display as the gun that killed Abraham Lincoln is not real. And I'm going to go over very high-level details of this, but for those of you who are interested, Google it, check it out. It's a fantastic story. Long story short, in the 60s, there was a cleaning man who had ties to a major crime ring. Now, back in the 60s, while the gun was protected, it obviously wasn't protected to the degree it would be today. Years later, when his son, when this maintenance man, this caretaker that was working there that had connections to the crime ring, his son was cleaning out this man's artifacts after he had passed, found a Derringer, strikingly similar to the one that was on display in Ford's Theater, and actually reached out and said that he believed his father had stolen the gun in the 60s while there and swapped it with a replica. Now, there's been some investigation that's gone into this, of course. The FBI even looked into it. And while the FBI says that they are confident that the gun that they have is truly the one that assassinated Lincoln, there may be really no way of telling that. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, the bullet cannot be traced back to the gun because it's so deformed. The caliber can't even be measured for the bullet that killed Lincoln because it's so deformed. So when you really dive into the history and the story behind this gun and the guns that possibly assassinated Lincoln, you can go down an infinite number of roads. I hope you guys enjoyed this little extra bit, and we'll talk to you guys again later.